There's a Spanish father who has gone viral. This guy's name is Alberto Pugilato. Alberto showed up to a comedy show and started beating the daylights out of a comedian named Jaime Caravaca. Here's the video. He says, get over it. Get over it, says the comedian. He says, hey, there's no need. Hey, you got to go back. Then the dad turns to the man, it looks like security guards who are walking up to him. He says, hold on. He's talking to the comedian. He says, what were you saying? You said my son was going to do a disgusting sex act when he's 3 months old? Garbage. Now what? Tell me. The comedian cowering in the back. Tell that to my face right now. Tell me right now. And then he says to the guy, looks like a bodyguard, he says, hey, excuse me, I'm sorry, and I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, but I'm a father defending his children. I love the guys in the audience, and it looks like the bodyguard. He says, okay, yeah, all right, you're cooking, you can cook. He says, this man made sexualizing comments about my 3-month-old son. That has consequences, doesn't it? Then he gets one last smack at him before he leaves. What's the backstory here? Backstory is this father is a right-wing activist and commentator, and he posted a picture with his kid, 3-month-old kid, and said pride and joy. And then this degenerate leftist comedian, quote unquote, said nothing and no one can prevent the possibility that he is gay, and when he grows up and he gets tired of, and then he starts describing particularly gross sex acts, that he will, go on and continue to live that lifestyle. I'm cleaning up some of the language here. And so this father, he says, you're going to regret those comments. And he shows up and he gives him a stern talking to and a couple smacks. The free speech absolutists, which was the position that the conservatives, quote unquote, had adopted 5-6 years ago, they would say, well, no, you can never, ever get angry at anyone for anything they say. And you should never try to shut down speech. And what that comedian said is free speech. And certainly a father shouldn't give a smack to a guy who says that about his 3-month-old son. My take on it, it's very good to control your emotions. Vigilante justice is very bad. We leave justice to the justice system. I don't think a reasonable jury, I don't think any member of a reasonable jury, if that Spanish father were brought up on charges, not one member would vote to convict if they were reasonable. I think society would be a little bit better if people were a little bit more polite, if people recognized that there are standards and taboos, and you don't say certain things. And if a so-called comedian made those kind of comments about my little kids, I'd probably be pretty inclined to have the same reaction. And before the libs accuse me of defending violence here, I'm observing a fact of political society and a fact of speech. There's so much more to say. First, though, go to hallow.com/Knowles. It would be easy to toss your discipline to the side for the summer, but a life of greatness does not happen by taking the easy route. The Hallow app offers a marvelous range of guided meditations and prayers that are designed to help you deepen your spirituality and strengthen your connection with God. With Hallow, you can embark on a journey of exploration, diving into different themes, types of prayer, and meditation. From gratitude to forgiveness, each session offers a unique experience, sparking your curiosity and deepening your spiritual understanding. Choose different lengths of meditation to fit your schedule, whether you got a few minutes or an hour. With its user-friendly interface and hundreds of guided meditations, the Hallow app has quickly become a go-to resource for people seeking spiritual growth and healing. Download the app for free at hallow.com/Knowles, Knowles. It allows you to set prayer reminders and track your progress. Hallow is transformative. It will help you connect with your faith on a deeper level. Do not lose your prayer habits this summer. Maintain your peace, deepen your relationship with God on Hallow. Your life will be much better for it. Download the Hallow app today, hallow.com/Knowles, hallow.com/KNWLES for an exclusive 3-month free trial on all 6,000 plus prayers and meditations. Because this already exists. If you, in America today, go out and say, for instance, is wrong and it's wrong for everyone, and so for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who've fallen prey to this confusion, the ideology must be eradicated from public life entirely. If you were just hypothetically to say something like that, people would try to kill you. leftists would they would threaten to kill you and they would try to kill you. Okay? Take my word for it, folks. And that would happen if you're a public person. That would happen if you're a private person. That would happen if you said it at your office or your school or at a cafe in the middle of nowhere. Because societies have standards and taboos and norms, and they enforce those. It just naturally, that always happens. The problem with our society today is that this natural phenomenon still exists. It's just that if you go out and you make disgusting, sick comments that probably merit a hard drive check for that so-called comedian about a 3-month-old kid, well, you'll be protected. The courts will be on your side. But if you go out there and you say, hey, men and women are different, actually, the courts will be against you. They'll try to prosecute you if they can, but even if we're not that far along in America yet, if libs harass you, they threaten you, they attack you, they will be let off the hook most of the time. The problem isn't that we don't actually have taboos that we enforce here. It's that we protect all the most disgusting and depraved things, rather than what we used to do, which was protect good things. And what we used to do, which was have a culture that exalted honor and virtue. Now it's totally the opposite. A lot of lessons to be taken out of Spain. Speaking of weird sex stuff, there's a guy named Scott Wiener. Scott Wiener is a state senator in California. Scott Wiener wants to replace Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's been in Congress since, I believe, the Articles of Confederation. She has been the Democrat leader there since at least the time of President Cleveland, maybe further back to President Garfield. And so Democrats are recognizing, old Father Time comes for us all, and at a certain point she's going to leave Congress. So this guy, Scott Wiener, wants to replace her. If you've heard that name, Scott Wiener, before, you might have heard it on this show. It's because Scott Wiener is the state senator best known for vociferously advocating that there be a reduction in punishments for grown men who sexually abuse underage boys. That was a big campaign for Scott Wiener. As he said, the law in California is too harsh on grown men who sexually abuse underage boys, and we need to make sure that those men receive lighter punishments. I am not joking. Look it up. That guy wants to replace Nancy Pelosi, which is a reminder in politics. I don't particularly care for Nancy Pelosi. I think she's pretty terrible. But things can always get worse. and in a political order that is failing to the degree that ours is failing, you can bet on things getting worse. You might think Biden is bad. Just wait until you see the libs who follow Biden. You think that Pelosi is bad. Just wait until you see that. Well, you just saw that one of the libs who's trying to replace Pelosi. That's not a defense of Pelosi or Biden. They're really awful too, and we got to beat them. But if you just look at the trajectory of the American political order, it's going in a bad direction. It is a vindication, not only of Trump and the conservatives and all that. It's a vindication of that old line that I learned from a priest friend of mine about the difference between a conservative optimist and a conservative pessimist. The conservative pessimist says things can't get any worse. The conservative optimist says, oh, yes, they can. Hey there. Thanks for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed that saucy and scintillating content. If you want more of it, ring that bell and subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.